We have now entered a moment of truth for all the people who supported Donald Trump, whether they're Republicans, conservatives, or whoever else they might be. Now, why is that? Of course, if you haven't been paying attention, there's this dramatic moment here in his presidency where we had this alt-right rally, this white nationalist rally in Charlottesville. They brought torches to defend the Confederacy and to protect white nationalism. And Donald Trump equivocated. Not only did they bring the torches, but they also, in a rally the next day and Saturday, also brought weapons and clubs and long guns and chanted things like "Jews will not replace us" and "blood and soil," which is a chant from the Nazi days. And Donald Trump waited 2 days to condemn them by name, and then again yesterday said, no, both sides are at fault. He called the people protesting the Nazis, quote, very, very violent. He never called the Nazis very, very violent, even though they ran someone over and murdered them and injured 19 people. Did I leave that part out? That somebody was killed by a Nazi on US soil, and he still had hesitancy in calling them out and said the other side was very, very violent. He even went as far as to say that there are, quote, very fine people on the side of the people who organized the rally. So some very fine people among the Klan, the Nazi, and the white nationalist. Okay, so that's what he did. But look, we often in America talk about never again, and we study the Holocaust and what happened there, and we are very rightfully taught that that should never be allowed to happen again anywhere, and certainly not in the United States of America. And I guess I got to remind Trump supporters, we're the ones who defeated the Nazis. They were on the other side. We had a giant war, we beat them, and we liberated the people that they were persecuting. And how do you do never again? Well, you condemn it when it arises. And this is that moment. This is the moment of truth. So I know that he'd done many terrible things before. That's why we were opposed to him. He has targeted Muslims, said every Muslim should be banned from the country when he was running on the campaign trail, and then when he was president, instituted a travel ban that affected only Muslim countries. We know he went after Mexicans and Latinos. He went after gays in America, including their military service. He went after blacks with voter ID laws. Went after Obama specifically on birth certificate, let alone what he did with the Central Park 5, and the list goes on and on. He had targeted all those communities before. But there was always one excuse after another. But no, you don't understand. It's not that we're against Mexicans, it's the illegals that are the problem. I'm not against all Muslims, it's just that Muslims are more dangerous. There was excuse after excuse after excuse. There is no more excuses. Now it's painfully clear. In a chant they had by a synagogue in Charlottesville, as the neo-Nazis paraded around with guns outside the synagogue, they were chanting Sig Heil. And he said there was very fine people on that side. No. It's become crystal clear who Donald Trump is. So in this moment of truth, if you don't condemn this, you got to think about who you are. Are you a political animal who doesn't even care about equivocating on Nazis and the Klan, just as long as your side wins? And what is that side? What side are you on? I mean, this isn't about tax cuts anymore. This isn't about what you do with Social Security or Medicare or healthcare. Are you saying that you agree with Donald Trump that both sides in Charlottesville were equally guilty, that the people protesting the Nazis had it coming? I mean, these are outrageous, unbelievable implications of his statements. So if you are, then okay, then that's fine. We're at the moment of truth. You raise your hand and you say, yeah, I'm on that side. And some folks right now are doing it. There's some anchors on Fox News saying they need to be defended. Confederate monuments need to be defended. And that there are fine people on that side. There are some senators who are equivocating among the Republicans. Or you're just afraid to call them out. And you're a coward. That's okay, raise your hand and say it. Say it loud and say it proud. Because if this isn't a moment of choosing, I don't know what is. So this is not a fringe player where you play political tricks and go, okay, well that guy once said something and maybe I can connect him over to you. He's the president of the United States. If you don't check this is when things get out of control. Because afterwards, the Nazis said, he gave us the green light. Richard Spencer said, by not condemning us for 2 days, he showed us that he loves us all, referring to the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists. He said anybody knows that by pretending to condemn us 2 days later, which he then basically withdrew the next day anyway, he said anybody who isn't stupid got the message. He's on our side. Are you on that side? This is your moment to decide. Look, it's not that hard, and now credit to a lot of Republicans who have done the right thing, whether it's Mitch McConnell, Paul Ryan, all of the Bush family, Mitt Romney. It said, look here's Mitt Romney, here's a quote. He said, no, not the same. One side is racist, bigoted, Nazi. The other opposes racism and bigotry. Morally different universes. See, that's crystal clear. So I still disagree with Mitt Romney on 100 other things. But this is not a hard decision to make. This is a very, very low bar. So if you're not condemning what President Trump said at this point, I think that you will be forever tainted. And not, look, if you're a right winger, you consider me progressive and you don't particularly care for what I say. It's not about me, it's about history. It's about how you'll be judged. And look, if you think that's fine and you're ready for that, no problem at all. But I think that history will look back and on you and go, boy, in that moment, you still stood by Trump and you backed his statements that there are very fine people on the neo-Nazi side. Wow. So that's your call to make. I can't make that for you. But I think right now, not only should there be universal condemnation on the Republican side, that's obvious. Every single Republican legislator in the country. I mean, they said all along, they've said for years, they've said for decades that they weren't racist, that they weren't white supremacists, they weren't white nationalists, they weren't any of those things. Well, if you're not gonna stand up right now, when are you ever going to stand up? So that part should be done by every Republican in the country, and it's, like I said, a very low bar. But if you're in the Trump White House and you're still backing this guy, you still work for this guy. We saw General John Kelly hang his head yesterday during the press conference. There should be mass resignations. If you don't resign, that means you are still happy to work for Donald Trump after he's made these comments. And that's on you. I don't think history will look very kindly on it. Help us build independent media together. TYTnetwork.com/join.